Hey guys, it's Kevin from the Potency Project, and in this video, we're going to talk about the paradox of potency. So the first thing we need to talk about is what a paradox is. And a paradox is something that doesn't rationally make sense. It's irrational, at least to your brain. A paradox is two opposites that contradict each other, that it doesn't make sense that they could both happen simultaneously. And so in the case of potency, the paradox of potency is your nervous system. And your nervous system has two big parts, which are the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And they are complete opposites. The parasympathetic is the rest and digest portion of your nervous system, and the sympathetic is the fight or flight. So these are two complete opposites, and generally they're not on at the same time. So, you're either resting or you're in stress. And, of course, most people are generally in stress mode all the time. It seems irrational that you could have both activated at the same time. But potency, or the paradox of potency, is when both aspects of your nervous system are activated at the same time. So your rest and digest and your stress are going on at the exact same time, when they're complete opposites, and that seems like it doesn't make sense. So that's why it's a paradox. First, we need the parasympathetic active, and then after we have that active to a certain point, to like a specific threshold, then you're going to activate your sympathetic nervous system. Very important that first you activate the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest. You have to have that active first in order for potency to occur. After you get to a certain point, then you can activate the sympathetic to really create potency. So the start of potency, or like partial potency, we'll say, is the parasympathetic nervous system. Full potency is when you have the activation of the sympathetic after you've already had the parasympathetic active. So potency is a state of the nervous system that's a paradox. That is both opposite or contradictory aspects of your nervous system active at the exact same time. And we call this co-activation. So it's co-activation of your parasympathetic and sympathetic. And that co-activation we're going to call potency. We can also call it many different things. You're going to want to activate potency, or this co-activation of your nervous system, in all different aspects. You're going to want to do it mentally. And you're going to want to do it mentally a couple different ways. And you're going to want to do it physically. And you're going to want to do it physically a couple different ways. And then you're going to want to do it spiritually. In all aspects of your life, you want to be able to create this co-activation, or this potency. And we'll say that those are synonyms. There's also other synonyms for when it's mental, physical, or spiritual. And there's a couple for mental and a couple for physical. And there are definitely plenty more than a couple, because people just call this stuff different things. Mentally and physically, we're going to talk about how it is being in the zone. Or if we're talking about specifically physically, which is hard to talk about specifically physically and mentally, because we just want to say those are the same thing. It's almost like spirituality is the combination of mental and physical. So we can almost say mental and physical is similar to parasympathetic and sympathetic. So like mental would be sympathetic and parasympathetic would be physical. And then the co-activation of those two would be the spiritual. It would be astral projection, lucid dreaming, or something like that. When we talk about mental and physical, we could talk about the zone. You get into the zone at different times in your life when you're playing sports, you're doing some sort of activity, you're working, and you're just in the zone. And that's co-activation, and that's potency. Another aspect when it's mental and physical could be like you're having this experience of bliss, like you see this amazing sunset, or you're just, something amazing happens, you won something, and you're just, again, you're like in the zone, but you're almost like in love. And so love would be a synonym for this co-activation. Love, the phase, the zone. We're going to talk about it more independently dependent, and there's just so many synonyms. And like those are my synonyms that I'm using, but people will use like nirvana. That's just a good example right there. So nirvana, heaven, and all these things. Potency or co-activation of your nervous system is this paradox. And it's these two separate things that are contradictory or opposites that we're coming together to make one. So another thing that's like similar to this is yin and yang. So it's these two opposite energies that you have to merge to create wholeness. And we'll talk about wholeness more and more. But co-activation, potency, all these other synonyms, the zone, these are all a paradox of two opposite energies coming together to create one thing. It's a state of your nervous system. And this is what everything is based on with the potency project. So it's the essence. We're going to talk about how it goes into like how you activate it or how you use it mentally, physically, spiritually. And of course, those are all connected. And everything in your life is connected through co-activation. This is the very start. It's important that you understand this in order to understand anything else that goes on with the potency project. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, comment and question below, and I'll see you on the next video.